everyone. I am Camille Miller, the founder of the Natural Life Business Partnership, and we are doing a member spotlight today. It is October 24th of 2018. We are with charter member Alyssa Martin of the Happy Mystic. She is a licensed Heal Your Life workshop leader and life coach in the philosophy of Louise Hay. Thanks, Alyssa, for joining us today.
Thanks, Camille, for the opportunity. I'm happy to be here.
I am so excited to talk to you about this because, as you know, the philosophy of the natural life is really kind of helping people along and build their businesses, but we definitely use the philosophy of the law of attraction and, power over force and that kind of coaching mechanism. But I remember meeting you. You've been a member now for what, like a year and a half or so? Yeah, I remember meeting you and thinking, wow, how cool that there's someone that actually coaches in this style, which is just so fabulous for people that have, this lifestyle, but could be in any business. So I'm really interested to kind of hear what you say and have this interview with you. So I thank you for joining us because I think this is going to be a great one for us.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thanks for the opportunity. I love the organization and what you're doing. So
thank you so much. Thanks. So let's start off. The topic is, what is spirit-based coaching? So if you can give us even a general background of how you got here, and then tell us a little bit about what is spirit-based coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll kind of flip it. So spirit-based coaching to me it's when we start to want to ask the big questions, and it may be that we've done with our life everything that we thought we should, and we're not feeling fulfilled. And, I have so many people that are like, I have 10 fingers, 10 toes. I have people who love me. My career may not be fulfilling, but, I have what I need. What's wrong with me? Why am I unhappy? Like, what's going on? There's still this void. And it's a search for purpose. It's a search for, some people call it spirituality.
Okay.
So being the happy mystic, I like to think of it as if you're ready to advance spiritually, or if you just want to expand your consciousness and maybe even discover your life purpose, because now you realize that I've been doing what everyone else thought I should. That didn't fulfill me. So now what is going to fill that void, give me purpose? Like, what am I here to do? And sometimes it's that you get to that point and you don't know how to hear what your own soul is trying to tell you. So you're looking for clues outside of you. So then again, you're doing what you think you should. So what I really like to do, and what brought me here, is that I was in the same place. I was raised in a religion that filled my cup in the beginning, and gave me spirituality based foundation, gave me purpose. And then when I moved away from that because some things didn't gel within me, and I finally had the self-awareness to really admit to myself, this isn't working. Right. Then I began my spiritual search. And again, I use the word spirituality because for me, it's a mystical search. It's asking the questions that are beyond our physical, get up, go to work, come home, watch TV, eat dinner, go to bed. It's like, what else? There's something more, So I went through the process myself, and now I'm here to take other people through it. Yeah.
So the coaching that you do, is it more of a personal awareness, or do you help people if they're stuck in their business with those limiting beliefs? Do you do it all? What would your ideal client is that you normally work with? And I'd be just curious to know if there's an age to it too, because I find, at least in this organization, the majority of our members are older, and have kind of gone through a different career, or there's this aha moment of bringing more of their authentic self and purpose to their business and what they're doing. Even doctors that have been practicing, a lot of the doctors that we have, the MDs that have been practicing, I find that somewhere along their late 40s to early 50s, they just keep going, wait, I think there's more to this. I think there's another side of healing. I think, so those are two questions I just put in there. So if there's the type that you're working with, if it's only business or personal, and if there's like an age group that you're finding more so.
Yeah, so yeah, I totally get your question. So when you do coaching or you start any business, you are looking for, who, like you said, is my ideal client. And what I've come to is that I am sought out by, it's mostly women. And I'll be honest, I don't think that men aren't asking these questions. I just think that perhaps men are more comfortable sitting in the question and allowing time and life to go by and feed them the answers. The people I get, and it's not only women, but majority, are not comfortable sitting in the question any longer. They've been sitting in the question for years. And in fact, there's like an itchiness in their soul that is saying, again, I've done everything else. Now, what about me? And when they turn to say, what about me? They kind of don't know what that is. So it is personal. And like you said, it does flow over into other things. So if someone came through my door and they say, I really want to get my business off the ground, my response would be, I can help you determine, is this what you really want? Are you aligned with this in your energy and your desire? Because really, I'll help you get to your desire. But I'm very complimentary with someone that is, a business coach. So I would refer out to someone who says, okay, my goal, by week 1 is this. My goal by week 2 is this. That's not my forte. Mine is, and it
sounds like you're more about the awareness of where they're going, or their vision, or how they feel in it.
Yeah, and it's intuitive based. For that. Yeah, it's intuitive based, so that basically, if you're looking to turn up your intuition and turn down the voices outside of you, which might be, it could even be your parents, even at age 60, whatever. Sometimes you still hear someone saying, oh, that never works. But yet your soul was always like, oh, if I could do anything, if time wasn't an issue, if money wasn't an issue, I would do this. And okay, well, let's talk about that more. Because a lot of times we put a limit on what we think is even possible or what we think we deserve. And my job is to help you see that that desire was put in you for a reason, that you're connected to it, and kind of really turn up the voice on your intuition and your soul so that you can hear that more clearly. And so we do go through, what are the messages you received growing up? And it may have been your parents, it may have been your religion, it may have been your teachers in school saying, oh, well, you're not good at math, or whatever it is. And then it gave you something that you said, okay, I'm no longer good at math, or whatever it is. It could have been that, it could have been society saying, oh, well, it's really hard to be, the starving artist. It's really hard to be an artist. So now if you get that in your head, you might put your artistic ability aside and say, well, that's not reliable. I'll join the corporate world, or whatever it is. So it tends to be the people who are my clients tend to be a lot of people who are transitioning out of corporate. And maybe they're not transitioning outwardly, they're transitioning inwardly at the time. So we'll go through a lot of practices and processes to really get to what they want and what they're believing. Because what you believe, like you were saying with the law of attraction, what you believe is what comes true for you. So let's look at why you even have some of those beliefs. And let's get in there and find out, do you want to have those beliefs anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And so we can really rewire all that.
Excellent.
The other group, just to answer
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I have more questions. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Is that I have been working with teenagers recently, teens and young adults.
Mm-hmm.
And it's opened up a whole new area to me where I see, you know what, I wish I had this when I was younger. So I've been opening that channel of my business, and that's been starting to flourish. And it's really, really amazing who's walking through the door. These are kids who, or young adults who, you know, are feeling weird.
Yeah, I got 3 of those. No, it like in a very good way, because I was not nourished the same way. And so I love that you're doing this, because I was not nourished the same way growing up. I wasn't in some ways, but I came from a stricter family, you know, I don't know about women being educated. It was kind of like a tough road for me. And so I always kind of had my own beliefs, right, that I've fought with. But in the same way, I was an athlete, so I was always very competitive. So I had that going for me. And my father, he was a doctor, but he always taught us never work for somebody else. Follow your dream, love what you do every single day, and that's what makes you money. So even though he didn't think women should work, I also had this other piece, so it was very conflicting. When my oldest daughter, she's now in college, but when my oldest daughter started high school, I was really surprised at what age they started limiting their beliefs, because I just taught them, you just be who you are, and I have very creative kids, kind of, you know, a little woohoo. You know?
That's awesome.
You know, because they're truly me, and they're my creative side. They're very logical. We have both. And it was like, how am I going to nurture this? And as soon as she went to high school, they wanted them to kind of decide what their career path was. And she was 14. And I was like, wow, that's kind of a crazy conversation. What are you thinking of? And they have them looking at colleges. And I'm like, whoa, I can't even imagine doing that at 14. So the pressure was so much. Now she was very science-based. So she was going to be a geneticist all the way to about her end of sophomore year, so going into junior year when they're supposed to start looking at colleges. And she was like, Mom, I think, and to her dad too, I think I want to go to film school. And we were like, where did that come from? But that, when looking back, was always her passion. She had a camera since she was like 6, and she was always behind it, and she was filming, and I have these piles of films, and I was just like, oh my gosh, how is she going to do this? And she went to her guidance counselor, and she said, you know, I've decided not to follow my career as geneticist. And she had been in AP everything, right? And she just says, I kind of like that, but I really like film better. This is what I want to do for a career. And they immediately made them go Google salaries for what they chose. Wow. And she came back with, like, you know, the average film person when they get out of school, you know, is making like $35,000, $40,000. And the counselor had said, you know, that's not really a good career because you're not making enough. And she came home and she was telling me about it. And I was like, well, what did you tell your counselor? Like, if that's what you really want to do, I believe that that's what you should follow. And she said, well, I stood there, I looked her in her eye and said, how did Steven Spielberg do? That's what I'm going for. I was like, good answer. Now, I will tell you, as your mother, like, I was a little scared, but I never told her. She's in film school today. That's where she is.
That's awesome.
And her younger sister is an artist who started selling her work at 15. So I'm like, if that's your career path, it might be hard for you, but it might not be, you know. Just go that way. You'll be so happy. So it's kind of like, so I love that you're kind of working on that in teens now, because I tell you, as a parent, you don't realize, sometimes you limit without even realizing. Like, I try to be so open, but I'm sure I limit them in other things without thinking, because it comes out of my mouth. It's like I'm just, you know, vomiting my parents, you know?
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, you care about them, so you want to prepare them in, you know, what your experience has been. And that's what our parents did for us. They went through their life, they hit limitations, they hit, you know, barriers, and now they want to make sure that you don't. So they tell you all about the barriers, you know? And, you know, everyone's just doing the best they can with the knowledge and experience that they have, but it's awesome that you're in the middle of it, and it's awesome that you're in the middle of it, catching it and going, isn't that interesting that I just said that? You know?
I reflect back now a lot, like, ooh, but how should I be, you know, dealing with this now? Or maybe I shouldn't say my opinion so much. It's hard from this end, though. So I wanted to ask you about your training. So I am, as well as most of our members, I would think, and maybe people listening to this, am really into Abraham Hicks. So I think the first time we met, we talked about that too.
Yeah.
So tell me about your training and the philosophy of it itself. You told me a little bit, but what was that like for you? And do you look at more than one philosophy? I'm kind of finding that they're all kind of the same when I look at like the Wayne Dyer and the Abraham and the Hay House, and it's kind of like one single message.
Absolutely, I would totally agree. And so you have multiple people saying it in different ways, and the way that you're attracted to is the way that you're going to hear it. And then so for instance, after I kind of discovered that the religion of my youth was not doing it for me anymore, I took a break totally. And I was like, I don't even want to hear about spirituality. Like, I just wanted to just live and not worry about, am I, you know, good enough, you know, to make it into what I was told was a new world. Okay. And so I took a break, and the sweet voice of Louise Hay called me back in, basically because of her gentleness. So the way that she delivers the message, again, like you were saying, many people might have this message, but the way I heard her was like honey to my soul, because her message is like, no matter what you're doing, you're on your path. You're exactly where you should be. And she doesn't use the word should, so I should get that out of there. But you're exactly at the right place at the right time. And what you're going through is completely normal. You're, like Wayne Dyer likes to say, you're a human being, but you're really a spiritual being going through a human experience. And just to have that knowledge allowed me to invite that side. Okay, well, then let me start to hear spirituality in a new way. And so Louise's philosophy that drew me in, I have to say one of the most alluring parts for me was that guilt is not good. Like, that you want to not make yourself feel guilty. And I had thought that guilt was how I kept myself in line. Well, if I don't feel guilty for something, then I'll just keep doing it. But it's the opposite. Actually, guilt perpetuates a cycle. So for Louise talks about loving yourself. And I had heard that my whole life. And probably you had too. Like there's a saying that says, well, you can't love somebody else unless you love yourself. I just thought, really? Because like, what does that even mean? And she was the first one to say, here's 12 things and here's what it means. And she has this beautiful list that I share with in workshops and with my clients, because again, it's like honey to the soul. So the first thing is get rid of all criticism against yourself and others, because criticism keeps you stuck. So you may think that, oh, well, if I don't criticize how I ate today, or, you know, again, any number of things, if I don't criticize myself, then how will I change? And the idea is that, well, you may change, but the changes are short-lived and they're not positive. Whereas if you praise yourself and reinforce yourself, it's like a whole nother world when you get used to talking to yourself in a different way. And the other big one for me is stop scaring yourself with your thoughts. Be kind to your mind.
Oh, that's
and I thought, woo, because I was terrorizing myself with my thoughts. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. And when you keep thinking, it kind of keeps going. Like you perpetuate that thought. You overthink, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so that coupled with what Abraham teaches too is, through Louise, then I started to like listen to Abraham Hicks, and like you said, it's like a perfect marriage, because what Abe does is he talks about, when you're in the problem, don't try to find the solution, because you're in the vibration. It helps you understand yourself as a vibrational being. And so if you're in the problem, maybe ask the question, but don't try to find the answer right now, because you're all wonky. So get to a better feeling place and then allow the answers to come in. And now what Louise's work does is say, okay, you can do what Abraham Hicks talks about, which is keep being happy now. Be happy now, instead of waiting for some day, trying to be happy now. But, we're in a human experience. It doesn't always happen that way. So you're going to hit bumps. And when you hit a bump, and especially if it's a pattern, a repetitive bump, then you want to dive into Louise's work, because now we're starting to go, okay, what do I really believe I deserve? What do I really believe about this thing? And you get to do the inner work around forgiveness and around loving yourself through that situation.
So is part of the coaching experience kind of pulling apart why you believe something? Like if it's something you're feeling, or if it's something you were taught from way back?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And however, if someone comes in, like if a client comes in and they're feeling really good, then I will acclimate then intuitively, I'm not going to go down the path of, let's talk about what was wrong in your youth. It's not the right time to do that. So if they're feeling really good, then the energy that day says to me, okay, now we're going to start to build the future. Now we're in the new story. And so I'll work with them on that. So it's not that every session is the same. It is totally not. So you talked about like what tools I have. So yes, I study, I'm certified in Louise Hay's methodologies. And then I've been listening and practicing Abraham Hicks's philosophy for 5-6 years. And then of course, Wayne Dyer, and then the Indian gurus. So Osho and Yoga, and of course Deepak Chopra. So bringing in all those philosophies about consciousness and expanding consciousness.
We have a question from someone that says, how does Alyssa do this in her workshops when everyone is in a different place?
Yeah. So the workshops are amazing. There's this alchemical thing that is going on, and I just always affirm that the right group is always drawn together for the growth and healing of everyone. And it always works out that way. So what happens a lot of times is what's coming up for one person, the other person identifies with. An example is in one of my workshops that I was teaching the Louise Hay one-day workshop. There was a young mother, and then also an older woman who had already raised her children. And so they were able to see each other, see themselves in each other. And it was healing for both of them, because the woman had raised her kids already, just had so much compassion for the younger mother who's like, wow, like, what about myself? Like, and then the younger woman was able to glean from this, experienced person, something to carry her, nuggets of truth to carry her through her next stages. So yeah, it's really wonderful.
Yeah, I love that philosophy that the right group comes together for the heal and growth of each other. I find that, like, when we do phone calls or something, sometimes I'm worried, like, oh, not a lot of people are on it. And I was like, whoop, exactly the right group came together. Even if it's small, it's supposed to be small that day. It's supposed to be large, it's supposed to be large that day. Like, and sitting back, it took me a long time though to sit back and just allow that to happen and not get all worked up about it and realizing it all just works out. There's a reason.
Well, we're practicing it, right? So you practice it in your personal life. So you may practice it with the, sometimes we come into these philosophies because of something that's nagging at us. So then we'll use that philosophy on the area that's nagging us. And then we see, wow, I can use this in everything, my business. And so then I do have a post-it up on the wall about the perfect group for growth and learning is drawn together. So I have these reminders to help me in whatever situation I'm going through as well. I live it. I don't just teach it.
Yeah, totally true. I'm just looking at this card that I have on my wall, and I have a feeling did you used to give out cards at coffees?
I always do, yeah.
You know what, this is from you. There's one right here next to my computer. I just looked at my wall of like sayings.
Yeah, it's probably a Louise Hay card.
I have one from you. It says, I have wonderful energy that sustains me throughout each day. I am radiant, vital, and alive. And I keep that right next to when I do these shows, one right there. I also have a long time ago, but I know what it means in my moment now as I go through my journey. It says, life is meant to change, that we may learn new things and encounter new people. But as you're saying this about groups coming together, I'm like, wow, I'm in this podcast challenge right now. And I put myself sometimes in challenges that I think are over my head with people that are over my head in these mastermind groups. And it was interesting that one of the challenges this morning was to launch, I've already launched mine, but a lot of people in the group have not, are doing podcasts. And they're like, don't worry that no one's listening. Like, you might not get people for months. But the interesting one is that you're getting better as you move forward, right? And people may connect with you down the line. And that's where they're meant to connect with you, at that exact moment where you're supposed to be and they're where they're supposed to be, and that's okay. And it was kind of like a really interesting, and everyone goes through that in business. Like, you do a workshop and no one shows up, or you have a call and no one shows up, or you have a Facebook community and no one's engaging, and everyone goes through that. Holy crap, like, now what? What's my next step? Instead of just kind of going the course and just keep doing it and believing in the power that it's going to come if you just allow it. So hard lesson though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I have used these tools for, I was in the corporate world. I use them to navigate, more peace in my relationship, navigate myself out of the corporate world into something that I love. But yeah, there's bumps along the way, and
Yeah.
you've got to use your philosophies. You've got to use your practice, and trust is a huge one. Trust, and then also really checking in with yourself. I did not leave the corporate world to do something that is invasive to my life. I mean, that's what I was moving away from, right? So when I'm checking in with myself now as an entrepreneur, and I would hope that all of us could do this, is that, I didn't leave that to go into something that feels like a job, that feels like someone's pushing on me. Right. And so when I do feel that happening, I say, whoa, okay, what do I believe about this? What am I allowing in? And yeah, I just use all my tools to work it into something, to massage it into something I do want.
Fabulous. And you can tell you love what you do. You can see the passion come through as you speak about it.
Oh, yay. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to put out to anyone that's listening, if you're listening to this on replay, we do allow the members of the Natural Life Business Partnership to join in on our video podcast and listen and ask questions in the chat group that we can ask. So if anyone has a question or a comment, please put that in the chat. Otherwise, Alyssa, how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to follow up after they see this or hear this?
Yeah, so give me a phone call. My phone number is 602-510-4414. I'm located in Pennsylvania, but I have a 602 area code because I used to live in Arizona for a while.
Okay.
So right here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And I can also be reached at email, which is beelyss@hotmail.com.
Excellent. And do you do counseling via Skype or Zoom like this? Or so does distance matter where you're located?
It does not matter. I do it either over the phone or I have office space in Percy, which is in Bucks County.
Pennsylvania. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I used to do the majority of it over the phone, and I've had a recent switch to now where I'm doing the majority in person, which is really great.
Oh,
so
that's
I love
interesting.
Yeah, I have fondness for both methods. Yeah, there's a lot that can be done over the phone as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking the whole video thing. That's my new thing.
Is it? Okay.
Can I send you a link? Let me talk to you, because either I'm on the road or when I work, I almost always work from home, my home office. So I feel like at least I'm out, I'm meeting with people, I'm doing things, and I don't have to be in the car all the time to go meet with people. So I feel like I'm still with you, Yeah.
Well, then that's intriguing because you're talking about podcasts. What about video cast?
Well, I actually do a video podcast, which is what you're on. So I video this, and then I take audio and I put it on, we do ours on Anchor, but it goes to like the Spotify and the iTunes, and it's actually, the audio is actually clipped and broadcasts.
So you got your fingertips in it all. I love it. Great.
Growing. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you getting up and spending the time and telling us all about your work and spiritual coaching. I found it very enlightening.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, should I close with a reading from Louise?
Sure. Go ahead.
We'll do
a closing, and then I'll stop the recording.
Okay, great. So Louise Hay has an awesome book called Meditations to Heal Your Life. For those of you on screen, I have so much light coming through my window. So I'll just read this. This is a beautiful treatment to just kind of, if you want to, those listening, they can close their eyes if they like and just
Not if you're driving. Please don't close your eyes if you're driving.
yeah. No, not if you're driving. If you're in a safe place to do so.
You're in a safe place to do so. Go ahead.
There you go. Take a nice deep breath. I am open and receptive to all the good in the universe. Awakening to love is what I am doing each morning. I love stretching my mind and acting as if I am already perfect, whole, and complete right here and right now. My heart is open and receptive to all good as I let go of striving and straining to get what I need. I know that everything I need and desire comes to me in the perfect time, space, sequence. I feel peaceful knowing that the universe is on my side. As I align my consciousness with my higher self, flow with an attitude of serendipity through all kinds of experiences. And so it is.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was a perfect ending.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Camille.
Thank you.